Hey, I'm just going to jump right in. One of the purposes of the meetings, we haven't had a meeting in quite a while. In fact, it predates the merger. So obviously, it goes without saying there's been a lot of changes across the company. I know for this group and a lot of what you guys do operationally, you probably have thought, well, gee, we had all these announcements and stuff. What changed? Well, hopefully today I convey a little bit of information to you as to what changed and really kind of what changes we can expect in the future. So some good news I'd like to report is we're actually up to 130 people. So now, for those that don't have any frame of reference, I don't know, Vicki, just a year ago we were sitting at 90, about plus or minus. Wow. So that's pretty significant growth. Yeah, that's that's real significant growth. So pretty cool numbers. Historically, when the downturn hit, we were right at the cusp of, what was it, Vicki, about 115, right? Plus or minus a couple people. And so that's the largest staff size we'd had really prior to this. So we're definitely in the record territory. So, and I think it goes without saying, right? I mean, the workload is really booming, and we've just got a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, we didn't have a Portland office then. We didn't have anything going on in Seattle. So we've been able to add staff geographically. So it's helped kick those numbers up. So I just want to touch a little bit on quality. Obviously, Brandon, Liz, everybody that's active in our quality system across the company, we continue to be kind of a trailblazer, really, I think, in Idaho. And it's one of the things that sets us apart from our competition is the level of quality, And it isn't just the accreditations we carry, It's the certifications that you guys carry individually and really how you do your jobs in the field, So I want to give everyone kind of a big kudos on that. I've had more positive feedback about the level of quality that they get from an MTI, on average, from an MTI employee than I've ever gotten in the previous 15, 20 years. So as a whole, we're really doing a great job across the company. And it isn't just in this office. It's in Idaho Falls, Twin Falls, Walla Walla, just really all over. So again, kudos on that. Quite an achievement there. So, and by the way, just to touch on a little more on that, usually I get the calls that are bad. I don't know. It's just your target, right? I'm going to talk to the boss, So I tend to get those calls. So to get the calls I'm getting are great. I mean, people are going out of their way to let me know, hey, man, you guys do really good work. So anyway, kudos on that. The one thing I really wanted to focus on today and convey to you guys is all of you heard about the big hoopla. Hey, we're part of this large organization, this Atlas Technical Consultants. Well, what does that really mean? Most of you haven't really probably seen much of a change, right? I mean, I don't know. Kind of, no. There really hasn't. We really haven't had much of a change. We've had, it's been on the back end. Brad could probably tell you that, it's been on that end of it. It's been on the administrative reporting type end of it. But operationally, we still operate as MTI. We're still a wholly separate company. We happen to be under this umbrella, and that's kind of the way I term it, this umbrella holding company, Atlas Geotechnical Consultants, or Atlas Technical Consultants. What's our advantages by doing this, by combining with two other firms, by the way? Well, actually, it's three, really. There's us, there's Consolidated down in California, and then there's PaveTex out of Texas, and then there's Moreland Antebellum out of Georgia. And with all of us combined, we exceed about 1,000 employees. What's the advantage of that? Well, in our industry, consulting engineering industry, just like construction or a lot of other industries, size matters, right? I mean, sorry, bad joke. It is an issue, actually. We can't compete on big projects. One of the things I was going to highlight was some work that we landed down at INL recently. Well, I got to sit in on some of those interviews for that, and one of the things they wanted to know is, gosh, you guys look really, and Molly can attest to this, you guys look really good. Well, what's this bigger company now that you're a part of? And they wanted to know more about it, and part of the reason was they wanted to know there was depth. Because it's a huge project. It's in the billions of dollars that's going on down there. It's a waste facility for spent fuel rods, and they wanted to know that little MTI had the resources and depth to do the project. So now, if we didn't have the connections we did, or we weren't part of this larger group, would they have given it to us? Probably, but we don't really know that, actually. They really zeroed in on it. They wanted to know that, hey, we want to know that you guys have got other resources beyond just what's in Idaho Falls or in southern Idaho. So by being a larger animal, in fact, most of you probably don't know this, Denver Airport is going to go on some huge expansion. I mean, a multi-billion-dollar project. And they're in the consultant selection stage right now. And as being part of Atlas, we came together with the other firms, including CEL, and we put together a combined proposal, response to an RFP that went out. Now, Molly, you haven't heard anything on that, have you? I don't know when we're going to hear on that, but it's huge. I mean, it's one of those game changer kind of projects. That would have been something as MTI we would have looked at, but we never would have gone after it. And so, one of the advantages of being part of a bigger animal is you get to chase bigger projects. One of the cool things that I'd have to state so far that's been really very cool about being a part of this group is we still maintain our identity. In our own backyard, people know us as MTI, and that hasn't really changed. There's a little bit of a buzz that, oh yeah, you guys are now part of a bigger organization, but really it's the same. It's the same management team. Gary's still here. Just all of us are the same. There really has been almost no change in the management structure, in our operational activities, other than as things continue to get rolled out, they want to look for areas for efficiency, right? We're some things that, like on the safety end of it, I know Brandon's getting an opportunity to get more plugged in with CEL, and then really just across the Atlas animal, that we're trying to standardize some of that stuff, which is a good thing. So, we get to throw in our 2 cents and so forth. So, but our quality systems are staying the same. There's just really, I'm kind of surprised how little change there has been actually. So I thought there'd be more. So, which is nice from an operational standpoint, but obviously we want that advantage of being able to compete on these bigger projects. So what does that all mean to you guys? Just more opportunity, already at some of the confabs, I'll call them that, where we all kind of get together as across the company, across Atlas, so that all the individual firms come together and the leaders of those firms talk. We've talked about people, right? Hey, I got somebody who wants to move to Texas. Oh gosh, hey, we've got opportunities down there. Or hey, I got somebody who wants to move to Georgia or a surrounding state, because they don't just stay in those states. They're like us. They do work all around wherever they're at. They'll do work around them. So there's a lot of opportunity there. So not to mention, again, people want to move up to Seattle or something. Yeah, operationally, not a big change. Future growth potential, huge. I mean, right now, between the 3 companies, last year their combined revenue was about $170 million. In about 5 years, the financial goal is they want to get this entity or get this group, this Atlas technical consultants, they want to get it from $170 million to about $500 million. So, that's extremely aggressive growth. Really aggressive growth. They want to do it by acquisition, so we're looking for other firms to buy and bolt on. In addition to just organic growth, we definitely can't do it just organically though. There's no way you could grow like that organically. So there's a lot of opportunity there for all of us. As openings occur throughout that company, there'll be opportunities for people to take positions or step up and move up move up the ladder, so to speak. So I think by the way, that's one of the things I saw when we were a little firm starting out in the early 90s. It was a challenge to provide those opportunities for people because there were only 10 of us, you can only have so many people at a given position. So, and unless they retired or left or whatever, we just couldn't offer the kind of opportunity that a large organization can. So again, there's a lot of opportunity for those individuals that are looking to grow and expand and take on more challenges with the company. So I'd like to get into what are the differences between Atlas and MTI from a vision standpoint? Now, I'm just going to touch on this a little bit. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I'm going to. Oh, I got the clicker. That's right. Vision. Joe Boyer is the. I think most of our management team got a chance to meet Joe. Great guy. God, I can't think. Adkins was where he came from. For those that know who that is, big consulting engineering firm. This is Joe's strategy. It's his vision, and so I just want to touch on it because part of what hopefully you guys get out of these meetings is what are we and where do we want to be going and what's our vision? You know, there's the MTI part of that. CEL's got their part of it. PaveTex has got their part of it. Moreland Antebelli's got their part of it. What this is some of it's just purely Joe, but a lot of it is where when we have these little confabs, we get together and we all get to put our visions and our values and everything on the table, and then we built a collective set of goals, objectives, and vision and strategy. So the strategy here, build a premier national construction and program management firm through the identification of strong, well-positioned brand names providing. And this is, construction, engineering, and inspection, CE&I type services, transportation. A lot of the transportation industry is moving heavily towards that type activity. That's where Tim kind of comes in. CMT, construction materials testing, and then of course CM. Now, some of you might say, well, geez, Dave, CM, we don't do that. No, we don't actually, but Moreland Antebelli does, and it's something that if the opportunity presents itself, it might be something we might go after. Probably not, but you never know. The project's big enough. And then, of course, engineering services, environmental, geotechnical, that kind of thing. So domestic geographies that have shown strong willingness and ability to invest in critical infrastructure assets. So, again, that's the strategy. That's why Atlas was formed, was to pursue those activities and do it in areas that we know that are experiencing a lot of growth. Obviously, the Northwest is just booming. So vision, my vision. Well, that's Joe speaking, and he's got some great one-liners here. This one in particular, I think Joe came up with. If you want to be a great company, then be a great company to work for. One thing I really like about Joe is he's really extremely people-oriented. I mean, and he just espouses this all the time. He said, hey, if you can't be great unless the people want to make it great, and he just. I just can't say enough good about him. He's just a great guy. Be heart-led, be great, be bold, major player in the U.S.'s most significant infrastructure. Let's be desired by our clients, envied by our peers, and loved by our families. So again, just a great guy. Couldn't say enough good about him. So obviously a vision. I think. One of these times when he's up here, actually, we might have another meeting. You guys get a chance to meet him. But again, one thing I'll say about we talk about culture a lot here at the company, or at least we'll be working on it. A lot of this really ties in really well with the MTI culture. Again, families. We want to support one another. We want to promote a positive professional environment, and all this really kind of ties into that. So core purposes and value. Okay, core purpose. Help dreams become realities by creating trusted partnership with stakeholders to provide safe and lasting infrastructure that our employees, clients, and communities are proud of. Now, a great purpose. We all have a mission, right? Or we all have a purpose, right? Whether you're a steel inspector going out and looking at a weld on a high-rise building downtown, or you're out there logging test pits, we're all trying to achieve a purpose. We all have a purpose for what we're doing, and that's really what he's building here. Is he's building a more global purpose for, hey, why are we in business? What are we hoping to achieve? So one thing that is kind of interesting is you'll notice throughout Atlas they really focus on the infrastructure. Part of that is, and it's purposeful. Trump had talked about one of his campaign deals was, hey, we're gonna, infrastructure is failing across the U.S. We need to spend hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars, bringing it back up, and that's still, it's kind of bogged down a little bit in Congress, but the expectation is still over the next 5 years that you're just going to see this big bulge of infrastructure work coming down the pipeline across the United States. And that's really one of Atlas's core purposes is, again, infrastructure, try and take advantage of that. Now, does that mean we're going to ignore our vertical construction? I mean, because I'm a vertical guy, you know. I mean, high-rise buildings, that kind of thing. That's my background, my specialty. Not that I don't do infrastructure, it's just, I came from the vertical stuff. So we're not going to ignore that stuff. We're still going to chase that stuff. It's just the infrastructure right now, that looks like where the big bulge of work is going to come from in the next five plus years. So that's why they've made that their purpose. Doesn't mean that 5 years from now that doesn't change. So of course, infrastructure solutions for life. Core values. And I'll just kind of bounce through these. Relationships encourage the courage to collaborate and work as a team. Accountability, delivering high quality services that we stand behind. Integrity, being honest and doing what's right every time. I mean, isn't that just huge in our industry, right? I mean, we're all lone rangers mostly. We're out on a project. You're looking at some guys, or some contractor's work, and he hasn't done something right, and you got to go up and tell him that, hey, it's wrong, or hey, this isn't right or that isn't right. I mean, we're out there to ensure the life safety issues mostly. So huge here. I mean, to really be doing our job. So safety, valuing the well-being of everyone above all else. Obviously, safety is always number one. Excellence, never settling for anything but the very best in everything we do. So again, I sure speak for MTI. Again, it goes back to what I stated in my opening comments. I get a lot of positive feedback, more now than I've ever gotten on that. And I think as a whole, across the company, we do a great job. And how do you get measured? Well, right or wrong, you tend to get measured against your peers, or in our case, our competitors. And I don't know, we stack up very well. So community, enhancing the lives of people who live in the environments we create. Well, isn't that always the case? I mean, right? I drive through downtown. I can't drive through there without almost immediately seeing buildings that we've done a lot of work on, or did almost all the work on. So, and then respect, recognizing the importance of others' opinions and input. I'm not going to go into that. Let me any of the new people that have been with us 6 months or less, did all of you get issued this? Did anybody not? If you're new within the last 6 months, you didn't get one? Oh. Vicky. You didn't get one? You never got one?
I never got one either.
You're kidding me.
No.
Really?
I found one in the desk that I was moved to.
Did you really? Well, that was a mistake on our part. I mean, we pass these out, and most of you have heard this speech 1,000 times from me, is, we ask that everybody carry one in their wallet or whatever, that mostly for field staff, frankly, but I mean, it works for you guys too, right? And that, when in doubt, what is our core values? What is our vision? What is our mission? And that, when in doubt, I mean, this is the guide. This is the Bible, right? So this is what we expect. There's that word integrity again. I think sometimes it's a little bit overused, but in our industry, it's huge. I mean, one of the things that I realized early on in my career that, and this is going to sound kind of bad, but to identify people that would get into our industry and they, for lack of a better term, they seem to want to pencil whip stuff. Man, that's somebody that, go be working at McDonald's, or I don't know, go work at Micron or something, man. Here, we don't, you're going to be a lone ranger, right? You're going to be out on a project. Chances are there's not going to be somebody coming in behind you. And so you don't do the inspection that you've been sent out to do. You don't do the tests that you've been sent out to do. It could have big ramifications. And let me give you guys a real quick story on that. There was a guy that worked for us probably 6 or 7 years, and very sharp, degreed individual, multiple ICC certifications, highly experienced. We got a hint that he wasn't doing air tests, concrete air tests on a project. Well, a guy by the name of Clint Taylor, for those that remember Clint, may rest in peace. A great guy, just phenomenal. I tell you, he was a great guy to learn from. Oh, I couldn't say enough good about him. But Clint thought, man, I don't think he's running air tests. But of course, you went and asked him, and I'm doing it. Well, he came up with this idea. He went and took his air meter, of course it sits in the back of the truck, right, in the air meter box, and he takes the lid off and he puts a rubber band in there. Of course, if you're doing the air test, the first air test you do, that rubber band's gonna be gone, right? Well, after a week of doing testing, concrete testing in the field, he comes back and he asks this individual, so you've been doing air tests? I've got some complaints, maybe you're not. Well, he goes back and he takes the individual out there, and not knowing what the outcome would be, he pulls the lid off the air meter. There's that rubber band. So anyway, the rest of that story was, of course, the individual was terminated. But those are the kind of things that yeah, bam. That's the kind of stuff that, again, integrity. It's huge in our industry. You can't tolerate those kind of lapses. So, and it's not something that it's life and limb. So if we don't do our job, somebody could get hurt during an earthquake, a seismic event. A building doesn't stand. It collapses. Those kind of things. Quality, obviously, again, kind of ties back into some of Atlas's core values. Demonstrated excellence with precision, accuracy, and reliability. Financial success. A lot of people would say that's not a core value. We've always thrown it in there because if we're not financially successful, we're probably not going to be around. So, and that was always the argument why we'd have that one in there. Professionalism. Maintaining the highest achievable level of technical and tactical competence, skill, and knowledge. So again, we want to be on the cutting edge in our industry. We don't want to be average. We want to be out there. So, and then of course teamwork. All of MTI working together with a combined action towards common goals. So, hey, you want to page down a little bit? And of course our mission statement, ensuring the strength, safety, and security of our community. Man, I'll tell you, it took us a lot of years to finally come up with that thing. But I think it's just golden because it really epitomizes what we do. Whether we're doing roads, or whether we're doing vertical construction, inspection and testing, or even engineering design. It's a big deal. And I'm not going to go into the vision statement. You guys can read that. But I want to just throw this up there. One, make sure you guys have your cards, and then two, it really, in an indirect way, it ties back into really Atlas's. And Atlas's stuff was built. And we had our input on that stuff. It wasn't created in just a vacuum. So their stuff is at a higher level because they're dealing with core values and geographic differences that come from Georgia, Texas, and of course California. So I think that's all I've got on the Atlas stuff. I wanted to touch just a little bit on. What's new or some things that we've been working on for the company? We do have a new evaluation process coming down the pipeline. Not that anybody really cares a lot about that, but I'm sure some of you do.
Look for the rubber band.
That's right. Look for the rubber. Look for the rubber band. What's interesting about this is we've used the evaluation process we've had. I don't know, Vicki, when did we start it? 94? I mean, we have had this thing forever. We are now going to effectively dump that and go with this online kind of a 360-degree process. It's gonna you're gonna be evaluated in a lot of different aspects that really we haven't done up to this point, and it looks kind of cool. I don't know a lot about it, but I just want to let everybody know that there will be some changes on that. Now, does it mean that goals and stuff that were set back in January is going to change? Maybe. I don't know. I think a lot of that will carry forward. It'll just be in maybe a little different form. Somehow we've got to maybe shoehorn it into what they've got, in the way the system will work. So, but it is going to be different. So just know that, into June, first part of July, we get into that process. It's going to be a little different than what you guys have been used to in the past. So that goes back to maybe some of those changes, which, by the way, that change came from CEL, didn't it? I mean, it's really not an Atlas thing. It gets it all online, though, and again, it's a more comprehensive system. So it should be better. So, skills on the project. Oh, yeah, I did want to emphasize MTI, and most of you have seen some emails on this, but at the risk of being redundant, I wanted to emphasize it again here at the company meeting. The last 6 months have been a little bit of a watershed period for us, not in terms of the whole Atlas thing. I mean, it's completely outside that. regardless of that, well, mostly anyway, we've managed to land some projects that have been what I call game changer projects. We talked earlier about the INL project that Dan landed. And then, of course, a lot of you have heard about this Golden Gate Bridge project that we're doing. We're doing all the fab shop inspection over in Portland. You know, people say, well, Portland, how's that work, you know? Well, it's just, for whatever reason, the fab shops up in the greater Portland area got the contract. So that's where we're doing the work. So, and that's kind of how we got it. You know, they wanted to hire a local firm. So, but we had to compete against the Kleinfelders of the world, and we beat them. So, I mean, that's freaking pretty cool, you know? I mean, these guys are, I don't know, compared to us, they're trying to do the math here. What, 20 times our size? Maybe more, probably closer to 30, actually. They're much larger than us. So it was pretty cool to beat them and a couple other firms out on it. So, and it really just qualification of our staff. So, and then of course this light rail project that you hear us talk a lot about up in Seattle. They're into it right now. There's another phase of it that'll be coming online possibly sometime next year, and we're going to go in and try and chase that. In fact, that kind of goes into my next comment. I was going to let everybody know that it is our plan to try and open up an office up there. We want to try and position ourselves to land the next big light rail job up there. The one we're on is going well. Our staff's doing really well. We've got a really qualified, capable staff up there, and they're doing a great job. And the contractor likes them. The client for the project likes them, and so we're in a good position really there's never any guarantees, but we're hoping to really kind of land that next phase, and the only way we're probably going to get that is by opening up an office up there, putting in a lab. So again, back to that thing about opportunity. Hey, one of the other things I want to touch on was economic outlook. At these meetings, I usually try and give everyone just a quick rundown on my crystal ball, talking with developers and stuff here in southern Idaho and stuff, and really we're expecting things to continue the way they are really for at least the next 12 to 18 months here in southwest Idaho, and throughout southern Idaho, really kind of the same story. One thing that we are going to see some explosive growth on is going to be eastern Idaho, and it's almost entirely because of the site out there. With all the work coming up out there, it's just huge. I mean, again, these are not here on this side of the state. You think that the population base is over here, right? Well, it is here, but that site, that INL site, I mean, the federal government, they just take their bucket loads of billions of dollars and they just throw it at that site, Well, there's nothing over here to attract those kind of dollars. We're happy to get a $60 million hotel or something downtown. We're doing backflips, And out at the site, I mean, they'll drop, $200 million on a project, and that's nothing. In fact, this the fuel rod disposal facility, I don't know, I hear different numbers. What's that? Yeah. Hey, what is it? Approaching 2 billion or something? I mean, it's just massive. That number seems to float because all their sub-estimates are coming in way high. So I heard one number that they think it might actually break 2.5 billion. So, that's like when they build a bomber or something, it's going to cost, 100 million initially. And by the time you get a working version, it's 3 times that. So that seems to be where they're going out there. So anyway, explosive growth out there, a lot of opportunity actually. And we're well positioned as a company to take advantage of that. So we expect, we haven't grown a lot really in the last 6 years, especially coming out of the recession, but I think the next 5 to 6 years is going to be explosive for MTI. So again, what does that mean to you guys? Opportunity, there'll be a lot of opportunity to go places, to take on new positions. So I was just going to touch on safety. Most of you probably don't know what our EMR is, our experience modification rating, and it obviously wouldn't mean much to you guys. In our industry, it's a measure of how safe we are. Ultimately, safety is number one. We want everyone to come to work and go home to their families completely intact, no injuries, no nothing. We want that's what we want first and foremost. So. As an add-on to that, this EMR thing is a measure of how safe or unsafe we are within our industry. And right now, one of the positive changes with Atlas was we're now at what's called an EMR of 1. That means we're the industry says we're right where we should be. Now, prior to the Atlas deal, we were, 1.4, I think? So we were a little high, actually. It meant that our injury rate was running a little too high. So that had a secondary problem of causing us to be eliminated from consideration for some government work. So, which is obviously a real problem. Boy, you hate to get that, right? You can't even compete on the work. So, by doing this, it gives us that competitive advantage. But I think more importantly, it gives us the opportunity to maintain that. So moving forward, we're at a 1, and we want to do everything in our power to stay there or below. And obviously, it's okay to go less, right? To have a EMR of 0.8 or something. So, but we definitely don't want to go any higher. So, I guess I'm asking everybody here. We've got a well-developed safety program. We've got a guy here that oversees it, and he's dedicated to that process. And we want to do what we need to do to maintain where we're at and really be accident and injury free. I mean, we'd like to go indefinitely. Hey, how many injuries you had? Vicki puts together these OSHA logs, and he has to report any incidents by office, and it'd sure be nice to put the zeros on all that, wouldn't it? I mean, and that's really where we want to be. We want to be accident free. So, we normally post this and make a little bigger deal with all the stuff with Atlas, and really not knowing we kind of thought that they might come in and want to really modify a lot of our 2018 goals and objectives. That actually really didn't happen. I mean, we had some changes, but we didn't really see a lot of changes. So I'm just going to kind of touch on these real quick. We set as an objective, we want to expand our services and capabilities, goal number 1. Expand Portland operations. Well, obviously we acquired the Portland office. One of our first objectives there was to try and grow it. I mean, it really isn't at a critical mass yet. It needs to be a little bigger than it is to really be viable. So we wanted to work on the culture. One of the things that's always a struggle when you go and acquire somebody is molding them into your culture. It's really one of the things we were concerned about Atlas. Oh my gosh, we're going to have all these cultural issues. Well, we really haven't seen that. So there we go. Oh, okay. Capitalize on increased transportation money. Again, it goes back to what we're expecting from Trump. We want to increase the number of personnel that we have that are capable of doing that kind of work. We want to look for new teaming arrangements. We want to team with entities to go after and be more competitive in that arena. If you want to page down on that. Explore CE&I services, that's part of that. Continue to pursue light rail. Again, there's another big project coming up there. Expand services, explore synergies. And most of you guys don't know who ATC is, but they are a big nationwide firm that is they're kind of a sister firm to Atlas. I'll leave it at that. I mean, it's a little bit confusing. You'd have to see a flow chart, and I don't have one. So how do you guys fit into this, But they're a really big firm nationwide. Firestop, we've been really going after that on our construction site here in the area. Tower inspections, again, some new stuff that we haven't done in the past. Some of this, I'm not going to get into that actually. Evaluate new markets. We've obviously Seattle. I just told you guys we barring some catastrophe, we'll have a lab up there sometime this summer. So Hanford is an area we've been looking at because again, like INL, the federal government's throwing money at it. They got to clean up all the waste up there. And then of course Denver. We've been continuing to look at that market. This is part of MTI, by the way. Atlas is looking nationwide, maybe, and even outside the country a little bit, into Canada. But for MTI, for our part of it, we're looking here in the Northwest for the most part. So, here we grab goal 2. Technology, obviously we're always looking to try and improve what we're doing. We've been looking at new dispatch modules, some smart forms. I'm not going to go into a lot of that detail, but suffice to say, we're always trying to improve the mousetrap, right? We're always trying to make it better. Sometimes we do that, and it kind of goes the other direction. But, trial and error, right? There's the drones. We've already done that. Increased signed contracts. By the way, there is a big kudos. That actually has been incredibly successful. I don't know, am I overselling it? I mean, we are getting signed contracts back like we've never had, and it's automatic. people get these little emails, and after about the 50th email, they want to pull their hair out, so they sign it, you know. So it's kind of like Chinese water torture, you know, and they finally just give up. Okay, I'm gonna sign the damn thing, man. I got to stop these emails. So, hey, by the way, I'm somebody that gets those emails, so I know what it's like, you know. Hey, sign this. Hey, by the way, did you sign that? Hey, can you sign that? You know. Recruitment. Obviously, as we grow, we need people. You know, we need good, qualified, capable people. So, onboarding system. That's for new hires. Retention. You know, we want to keep the good people we got. So, so it's not, you know, a lot of that stuff doesn't happen by accident, right? So most of what we do, we try to think this stuff through and try and be proactive about it. I'm not saying we're perfect because we're far from it. So, but we definitely try and make an effort at trying to do what's needed to grow the company and be successful. So, and at the same time, create a culture that and a place that we all want to work at. So, integration of CEO and MTI. One of the things we're trying to do there is for a lot of years. Here's this MTI animal, and here's CEL down there, and our systems just didn't, they were just so different. We didn't integrate much. I know on the safety unit, we're really trying to get that integrated. So, but in the future, our quality systems will probably start to become integrated, yeah. And a few other areas, yeah, I know. Some of that, it's difficult to do, you know, because what they do is just different than what we do. But where it makes sense, we're definitely going to do it. So, I'm going to grab goal 3. One of the things on the cultural front is, increase MTI pride. You know, we want to, present an image that we can all be proud of. Staff engagement. I'll touch on that one real quick. Office visits. Jeremy and Vicky and Brandon are running around visiting all the offices, so that they get some face time with people from this office. But in addition, if there's differences, if there's procedural differences, we're able to address that to make sure that we're all kind of, it's funny, I tell people that as you get bigger, it becomes more important that we all have the same safety system, we all have the same quality system. And it's not that maybe somebody doesn't have a better mousetrap, we just want to make sure everybody's using that better mousetrap. So if one office, it might be wall-to-wall or something, has a better way of doing something, that's great, but we want to make sure everyone's going to use that system. So there's not differences between the offices. So team building events, MTI swag. What else? Increased MTI pride, job site signage, vehicle signage, vehicle appearance. That all goes without saying. You've got signs that are falling off the trucks. That's probably not a good thing. So, exactly. So goal 4. Increased safety culture. We're always trying, you're never there, right? There's always more we can do on the safety front, So as part of this, some of our deliverables on this have a safety program to increase awareness, outside education opportunities, a new radiation safety video one. So management engagement and a safety plan. Again, we're always working on trying to create a safe environment. We want to make sure that everyone's safe. We're doing what we do in a safe manner that's going to eliminate, really, not just reduce, but eliminate injuries. So, emphasize quality at all operations. In the lab, obviously, our inspection and accreditations. A lot of people don't know this, but we participate in a lot of our accreditation programs for our labs voluntarily. Idaho, they don't care. They don't require ISO, they don't require AMRL, they don't require any of that stuff. Now, Portland and Seattle do, but not in this state. So, does it give us a little bit of a competitive advantage? I think so. But more importantly, it just makes us better. When you got a quality system, ideally it catches mistakes before they get out into the field, and you've got a check and balance system in place. So, anyway, was there anything else? Okay. Alrighty, hey, that's our goals and objectives for 2018. So suffice to say, we didn't go into a lot of status where we're at. We have goal meetings and stuff, and we'll go through them and stuff, and we crank through them. Ultimately, you guys see the outcome of that in the field or in the office. When we get them completed. So, hey, with that, I think I am done pontificating here. So. I don't think there's any other relevant issues other than, again, Atlas is, so far, I'm impressed. These guys they're extremely culturally oriented. They're not bottom line. You know, it's funny, a lot of people think, oh God, big company, they're all bottom line driven. Don't get me wrong. They know that they need to, they need to meet the numbers. But what's interesting is they know that one way to do that is chase the higher margin work. And then it takes care of the rest of it. They don't have to ratchet down overhead and keep everything down to the bottom dollar. By chasing that higher margin work, it kind of takes care of that end of it. So, and where their focus at is hiring highly qualified, really the best people out there, and then treating them well, and then chasing the big projects. So again, I like their philosophy, and I think going forward, it'd be interesting to see where we're at in 5 years. Because I think their model's great for our industry, and yet for us, they're not wanting to come in and recreate us. I mean, I think we've done a good job growing and being successful in the Northwest, and I want to expand on that. And with their leadership and their support and financial backing, there's no reason why we can't. So anyway, hey, with that, I'll let maybe Jeremy say a few things. But I want to thank everyone for coming today and really for kind of making us who we are today and the work you guys are doing in the field. So thank you. One thing I didn't mention, and not that you guys care a lot about this, is the financial end of it for MTI. Anybody care? Yeah, Molly cares. Okay, we're going to cover it. Suffice to say, and I'm not going to throw a lot of numbers at you guys because obviously it's confusing. Suffice to say that our revenue, we set a budget each year, but our revenue, we're about 21, Brad can correct me on this, we're about 21% ahead of our revenue goal. That is, we set a goal, right? As of the end of April to be at X. Well, we're about 21% ahead of that. And that's, not 2%, but 21%. That's huge. We are running well ahead of our projection for revenue. Now on the bottom, of course, some of you guys out there, well, okay, so are you making any money on it? Well, actually, short answer is yes, we are actually, and we're actually about 2% ahead of where we budgeted on the bottom line. Now that may not sound like a lot, but it actually is. Actually, you think about what you put on the bottom line. Every percent counts, and in every industry it's competitive, and our industry is no exception. So it means that the work we're doing, we're efficient at it. It's some of the work we're doing is pretty good margin work. So even what we budgeted, we're beating those numbers. So one thing that's worth kind of pointing out is I think that's because some of it's because of the rapid growth in our area. Developers, I don't know, Liz left, but she'll get calls from people right now for geotechs and stuff saying, well, I don't really care what it costs, which is pretty rare. I don't care what it costs, just when can you do it, And that's rare that we see that. So, that I can remember that in 2007 was the last time I remember that, just before the crash. So, not that I'm predicting anything. So, anyway, no, hey, I got to tell you, I don't see that coming. By the way, that was clearly a bubble back then. We could all see it. You just didn't know exactly when it was going to blow up. So, but I don't see that this time. So, anyway, suffice to say that financially we're doing great. MTI is on extremely solid footing, and honestly, I expect that difference, that delta on both the revenue and the bottom line, to actually increase as we go into the summer months. Some of the work that Dan's got out at the site, out at INL, hasn't come online. That's really high margin work. Plus, there's a lot of it, and we're not even into our busy time of year yet. So yeah, usually we lose money during the winter months and into the spring. We normally don't cross into the black until late May or something, and we're already in the black. We're about 8% into the black, and that's for end of April. That's damn good. That is really good. So we've only had maybe one other year that we did that. And that's going clear back to 94 actually, I think. So kudos. Yeah, that's really good. So anyway, so that's our financial things. I'm sorry I almost skipped that. Not that anybody cares, right? So hey, we all want to know how we're doing, right? I do. It's a yardstick, right? Hey, we doing good? Are we not doing so good? It all ties into raises, profit sharing, all that stuff. We're actually leading the charge. Actually, that for whatever reason, California is just competitive.
Very competitive.
Yeah, I mean their margins are really getting squeezed right now. They're still doing a lot of volume, but they're just not making almost anything on it. And relative to, I mean, we're like this shining star up here in the Northwest, and those guys are down there kind of, I wished I had their work, kind of thing, because they're doing a lot of it. They're just not making much on it. So we're really shining right now. So it's kind of cool, actually. What do we call that? Bragging rights, I think. So, yeah, and we've been taking advantage of that every now and then when Gary comes up. So anyway, hey, with that, gang, I'll turn it over to Jeremy.
My portion was supposed to be an hour, and Dave's was 10 minutes. So if you scale that out, we've got a ways to go. Just kidding. So I'll keep it real quick. I just really wanted to say welcome to everybody because, as Dave mentioned, we're up to 130 employees now, and since November 1, that's 35 new employees across the company, so that's a significant number. Somebody did the math earlier there. But help us be better. Help us have more say. And examples of that, we saw a couple of them in the goals and objectives that Dave went over there. But things like recruiting methods, onboarding software, electronic evaluation that Dave talked about. Fleet vehicles is another one that I know many of you guys care about. We're looking at a new program there, and a lot of these are just based on inputs from you guys. So keep those coming. Charity events. Twin Falls just did, and they're actually getting ready to do another one where they're helping feed people in downtown Twin Falls that might not get a meal. And several of you guys have signed up. We're doing one in Boise on the 20th of June, where we're going to go in the Idaho Food Bank and help them prepare some food. So keep giving us your input. Operationally, you see something where we could be better, let us know. These are great times to be in, but some of it's uncharted, and we're expanding. Dave talked about moving to Seattle. That's a market that we've been in before a little bit, but now it's a different time. And so with that office opening up there, when we do that, we need your input. So keep those coming to us, and just want to say to everybody, welcome to the team, because there's a whole lot of new people. So that's all I got.